Good morning, everyone. I'm Rohit Wadwana, First Secretary in High Commission of India, and I'm very happy to welcome you all on today's webinar, India-UK FinTech Opportunities. We were planning to do this webinar for quite some time because of the obvious possibility of collaboration between India and UK in the sector. During various other occasions and high-level visits, we have been highlighting FinTech as an important sector for collaboration between the two countries, and it has proven for itself. Now, today, we are here with a well-planned, with very good speakers and panelists in this webinar. So, before I hand it over to the speakers of today's webinar, I would just like to give you an overview of the agenda. So we will have two excellent speakers who will be giving overview about ecosystem in FinTech in UK and India respectively. Then we will have a speaker from City of London who will make us aware about the important findings of a report that they have launched. Then we will go into a panel discussion. Dr. Mohan Kaul, President of IPF, will chair the panel, and we have excellent panelists for that. Then we are going to have two case studies of two FinTech companies who are doing very well in both the countries. After that, there will be 4 special mention of the countries. We will interact with them also for a minute or so, and that will be followed by 12 startups who were selected for National Startup Award 2020 by Startup India. We'll have a video of them today. After that, there will be about 15 minutes for us to have question answers, and then we will close the session. So I'm looking forward to have a very good informative interaction with all the excellent speakers today. I am happy to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Matt Hopkins, who is audit partner and FinTech specialist in BDO LLP, and he will speak on current themes and climate on FinTech sector in the UK. Floor is yours, Mr. Hopkins.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. So, yeah, I'm absolutely delighted to be here today, and what a fantastic time to be doing this presentation in light of last week's Innovate Finance report and Khalifa review into the FinTech sector. I mean, of course, a big part of those recommendations is about the UK as global Britain having the right talent proposition and access to global talent. And although that's all very, very exciting and important, you do have a session later today specifically covering that and the opportunity. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on that. But what I am going to cover is UK's position in the market in the FinTech space, and what I'm seeing and what we are seeing at BDO across the market, both in the UK and to an extent globally, because I lead our digital banking proposition internationally. So come back to the review, the Khalifa review, and part of the context of that, and of course the setting for UK's financial services sector going forward, is the seismic event that was UK's exit from the European Union. And whether you consider that a triumph of democracy or a disaster or a waste of time, or perhaps a combination of all that, it is done. And the UK and our partners need to make that work. So regardless of where you sit on that argument, it is without any doubt a catalyst for change, an historic event and an opportunity for the UK to consider its areas of strength and to build ties with partners old and new. So whilst the UK is going to maintain strong relations with our partners in Europe and the US, this is undoubtedly an opportunity and a catalyst to look east, to use our historic ties, our geographical advantages, and ensure that we have a new role now in the geopolitical landscape. So what this is about the UK providing a benchmark for a safe but outward-looking and innovative regulatory environment with a global agenda. So, of course, although Brexit was seen as an anti-globalization event, it won't change the facts of globalization. Globalization is not a policy choice. It is the outcome of technological advance and a mobile populace. So to deliver this and to deliver what the consumer wants, this is about providing frictionless global banking to support a globalized environment with cross-border products, navigating all the challenges of cross-jurisdictional environments. And that will be supported by innovative payments, innovative AML, innovative client take-on, and of course, ultimately, decentralized finance. So very briefly, what is FinTech and how is that going to be a catalyst for change in the UK? Is it just old financial services, but with a new shiny face, a new app? I think it's safe to say, no, it isn't. It's a key pillar of the next industrial revolution, the new big bang, if you like. So the clash of two sectors, technology, financial services, coming together to create this new innovative sector of its own. So why is the UK and why is London so dominant in this area? And by some measures, we have over 10% of global market share. So I think the reason for that is part of this ecosystem. And on the supply side, we have mature, liquid capital markets, integrated financial services and technology talent. We're supported by the agenda setting regulator. And we also have access, and this is very important going forward to the global Britain and global talent, we have access to specialist accounting, regulatory and legal professionals. And of course, on the demand side, we have a global and very open and diverse consumer market that is completely receptive to innovation and digitization. So what are we seeing? What are we seeing now? So firstly, we're seeing an acceleration of digitalization due to COVID-19. Investor appetite is still very strong, significant VC investment throughout 2020, and the UK is way ahead of any other area in any other territory in London on that. We are seeing the growth and maturity of a number of fintech unicorns that have been born and are growing in the UK. We're seeing digital banking. I'm certainly seeing digital banking fractionalizing into two real key pillars here. You've got on the one side, you've got your mass market digital offerings, multiple customer touch points, and with an international focus. And on the other side, you've got these niche mono product specialists, not in competition, serving completely different consumer needs. Of course, and I think everybody's aware of this boom we've had in crypto assets. The sustainability of crypto assets as an asset class, still not certain, but there is certainly significantly increased investor confidence. And I'm sure we'll see the outcome of that when Coinbase lists in the coming year. Advances in cybersecurity, advanced AML, I touched on before, really important. You know, increased data means we need to have increased trust. And as fintech is ultimately a challenger sector, we are going to see trust as a really important factor. Are we seeing some business models failing? Yes, of course we will, and that's natural in a maturing market. Probably less than you'd expect, and again, some will be accelerated because of COVID-19. So, ecosystem economies, financial capitals like London, Singapore, and New York, they'll continue to dominate as investment, talent, and innovation hubs. But the focus will move to customer monetization in economies, China, India, Brazil, and those are the territories that will shape the future of product development. One thing we're definitely going to see, and I think quite soon, is that the UK is going to be the center of increased global regulatory agenda. And there is going to be the creation of global regulatory bridges. I'm fairly certain of that. So I think I've not got long today. So just to finish, I think, you know, we hear a lot about the leadership and UK's leadership role. I think we're actually moving away from this as a slightly dated, a slightly archaic concept, I think, now. I think what we're moving into is UK becoming this open sphere of influence in digital financial services, progressing from the leadership role to providing a platform and environment for engagement with other financial services centres and regulators. You know, we're going to look at the changes to the listing rules, no doubt with the Khalifa review. And, you know, that's a real opportunity for the UK, sort of certainly in digital financial services, to really cement its position as the ideal destination for listings for fintech in the way that the US has been for tech. So I think just to finish, whilst the UK Silicon Roundabout isn't going to eclipse Silicon Valley, and the latter will continue to lead in the tech sector, I expect the former, so the UK, to be the dominant global force in fintech for the foreseeable future. So a little whistle-stop tour there of the market as I see it at the moment, and that's really all I have to today. So I'm going to pass back to Rohit. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hopkins. It was an excellent overview, and what you said is really relevant. You asked the pertinent question, why London is dominant in the fintech sector, and you answered with various points which are related to the ecosystem present here. But I have equally important presentation to be coming from Sri Dilip Apse, who is MD and CEO of National Payment Corporation of India, the umbrella company which handles all the payments and retail related things in India. And I am sure he has a lot to say about the ecosystem in India too, and the emerging opportunities there. So the floor is yours, Mr. Apse. You are on mute.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Thank you, Mr. Vadvana, that to give me an opportunity to present on India and India's fintech sector and possible collaboration back with the UK fintech ecosystem. The UK is very close to my heart because I did my master's from London School of Economics, so I've got very fond memories. So when the invite came, I resist to participate and speak about Indian ecosystem. And NPCI is a not-for-profit company which is created as a public good. RBI, the Reserve Bank of India, started this entity to process the retail payments transactions in India, and it does about over 5 billion transactions a month. Most of the systems are built by us locally, and we continue to manage that by ourselves. We are about less than 1,000 people organization processing these many transactions. Some of the important systems what we run in the retail payments, which is one is the RuPay card, which is the Indian card, very similar to Visa or Master, which is with the international acceptance. We also run some of the Aadhaar-based payment system, which includes a direct benefit transfer from government to the poor for various subsidies. We also use the same Aadhaar number to withdraw the cash from rural locations by the citizens of India for to access their accounts. We also run the electronic toll collection, which kind of does the tag-based toll collection when the vehicle is in motion for the toll payments. And also we run the UPI, which is the Unified Payments Interface, which does the smartphone-based payment system accessing the bank account. So we are about 10 years old company now, and right from the beginning, we have focused on the collaboration between the banks and fintechs. So many of the products what we run in NPCI or platforms that we run kind of forces the collaboration between the banks and fintechs. So whether it's a UPI, where you would see the banks continue to hold the account, the money for the customer, do the reconciliation, customer service, while the front end app is provided by the fintech players or the large tech players. So we kind of provide this advantages of both the worlds, like which the bank brings in the trust and the fintech which brings in the technology and the superior UI UX, which is the customer experience. And when we look at this, the UK fintech sector, obviously the open banking regulation have been quite famous back in India, and we kind of keep tab on that, how it is progressing, and there are a lot of use cases which are getting built on the similar principles by the fintechs in India. Obviously, when we speak about India and UK, I strongly believe that there is a need to create a strong India-UK fintech bridge, which will not only be able to kind of help both the side fintechs to share the best practices, or kind of have a presence in both the sides to leverage the strength on the other side, Also, it could also kind of help to get the the technology sharing, the knowledge sharing of both the markets. NPCI recently has started its international subsidiary, which is the NIPL, which NPCI International Payments Limited, which we believe is going to take the UPI or RuPay to the international markets, and obviously we will collaborate back with UK to take the UPI back in UK for the UK as well, for the cross-border remittance or cross-border payments. So we kind of believe truly the fintech and the financial services institution collaboration, and I believe both brings in the best of the both the worlds to the consumers in the country, and UK and India being the largest fintech ecosystem, and India being the third largest fintech ecosystem has a lot of synergies and a lot of potential to work with each other and collaborate and create a kind of a unique success story back in the world. So I would strongly request both side governments and the embassies to kind of play a key role to make this happen. So that's all from my side, and I'm available back for any questions if you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Apse. It was an excellent overview of how fintech system is working and emerging in India. It is really interesting to note that in the 10th EFD that was held in last year, October 2020, both sides had agreed that we should further strengthen our fintech partnership. And it was mentioned that India and UK FinTech Joint Working Group had already had the meeting in March 2020, and they had agreed to collaborate on facilitating the flow of faster and cheaper India-UK remittances. There were many more outcomes of that, and I'm sure the progress is towards positive side. And today's event and the outcome of this will certainly help us in finding out more opportunities. And thank you again for your presentation. For you and Mr. Hopkins, you have set the floor rolling. Now we will go to our next round. We have a speaker from City of London who will present the report and its outcome. Yeah, Mr. Heather Wilson is here. Ma'am, please lead on from here.
Hi, thank you very much. Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Wilson from the City of London Corporation. I'm a policy advisor in our innovation team, and I was part of the team that supported Ron Khalifa deliver the Khalifa review, which we published last week, actually last Friday. So I'll start with a bit of context, because some of you may not be aware or familiar with the Khalifa review, but last year the Treasury commissioned this independent review of UK FinTech, which was to be led by ex-WorldPay CEO, a man called Ron Khalifa, and the City of London Corporation and Innovate Finance were to be the secretarial of the review. So we've really been working with Ron and other stakeholders across the fintech ecosystem in the UK to deliver this kind of final report and recommendations, which, as I said, we published last Friday. So the Treasury gave the review 3 key objectives, which we've tried to work towards, and they were to ensure that UK FinTech has the resources to grow and succeed. The second was to create the conditions to enable widespread FinTech adoption in the UK. And then finally, it was to advance the UK FinTech's global reputation. So I guess the first question really to address is, well, why did we need the review? Why did we need to have this independent review into UK FinTech? And I think actually the UK is doing a pretty good job when it comes to FinTech. We have built a strong track record in this space, and the UK represents 10% of the global market share, and actually it contributed to 11 billion to our economy in 2019. Quite a large amount. Investment into UK FinTech was 4.1 billion in 2020, and this was more than the next 5 European countries actually combined, and it's number 2 globally, just behind the US. We also think that we've set the benchmark when it comes to policy-led innovation, and actually over 50 countries now have replicated the FCA's regulatory sandbox. And we also paved the way with open banking, and a number of other markets have kind of copied suit. And then from a demand standpoint, 71% of adults in the UK are now using services of at least one fintech product. So I think, yeah. Am I back? Did I lose you all?
Yes, you are back, please.
Oh no, do you know, where did you lose me? And I'll start from where I left off.
You were saying UK shares some 71%, referring to that.
Okay, you lost me there, perfect. Okay, so I've gone through the stats of why the UK is doing a good job in fintech. And I guess the next thing is to say, well, the purpose of the review was to help the UK to build on this and really to achieve more. And so in particular, what we found during the review process is that while the UK is an excellent place to start a fintech business, actually there's a few challenges remain when it comes to scaling. And for this reason, the review really focused on recommendations that will enable fintech businesses to start up and scale, but also to help us scale up, scale even further. So when looking at the recommendations, kind of the core of the review is this 5-point plan of recommendations which span policy and regulation, skills, investment, international competitiveness, and national connectivity. I'm not going to take you through every recommendation this morning, so I think we'll be here for quite a while, but what I can do is circulate a link perhaps to the report so that you can kind of browse for yourself and have a look at recommendations. And what I will say is that I think it's page 4, there's a summary. So you can go straight to page 4 and you can see all of the recommendations in one go. But what I can do this morning is to kind of give you a summary of where we focus. And so on policy and regulation, the purpose of the recommendations kind of around this theme are really to ensure the UK can continue to provide dynamic leadership that protects consumers, but also nurtures innovation and competition. And so kind of building on the regulatory sandbox, something that we have put forward is the implementation of the scale box. And the scale box would really enhance the current regulatory sandbox. It would also have the UK create a permanent digital sandbox. And then it would also provide kind of further support for those firms that are in their growth phase. When it comes to skills, we've really tried to set out recommendations that will allow the UK to have a sufficient supply of both domestic and international talent and the means to train and upskill our existing and future workforce. So some of you may have seen, but the Chancellor and the Treasury have already committed to taking forward one of our recommendations, and that's to fast track or to create a new fast track visa system for UK fintech scale-ups. This will allow those coming into the UK with a job at a fintech scale-up to access a visa kind of more quickly than they currently could do. So when it comes to investment, our aim really, when kind of during the review, was to help the UK create an environment that allows fintech companies to complete the funding ladder right the way from startup through to IPO. Kind of a significant and key recommendation of the review is to amend the listing rules. And this is very much in line with other recommendations which have been put forward by Lord Jonathan Hill, who recently, I think he published his listing review report yesterday. And again, the Chancellor and the Treasury have committed to kind of amending the listing rules so that the UK can attract more fintech and actually just generally technology companies to list in London. So on international, the review also sets out an international action plan, which will support a more targeted approach to exports and inward investment. And then finally, the last theme of those 5 that I mentioned, the review looks to ensure that the UK can leverage the output of fintechs right across the UK and facilitate connectivity between them. And we hope that the UK will create and deliver a new national strategy for fintech. So national connectivity and kind of the levelling up agenda was a key theme throughout the review. So that's a whistle-stop tour across the 5 themes or the 5 central focus points for the review. But I guess the last thing that I will talk about is the implementation plan that the review also puts forward. So to accompany the recommendations, the review sets out this delivery roadmap or an implementation plan, and this includes a separate recommendation for a government-backed Centre for Finance, Innovation and Technology, or CFIT, that's what we like to call it. And so the idea is that CFIT would be supported by the government, but it would be led by the private sector to utilise all of the UK's existing organisations that currently support fintech development. So in the review, we did a little bit of analysis, and we found that there's at least 25 public and private sector organisations looking to support the fintech agenda in the UK. And like, that's fantastic. It's a fantastic amount of support that fintech companies get through those organisations. But what we found is that because there's so many, perhaps sometimes they're a little bit uncoordinated, and they can perhaps also have overlapping mandates, and it just creates a bit of confusion. So the purpose of CFIT would be to really kind of create a central and focal point for UK fintech, which would leverage all of those organisations and kind of put everyone on the same path and understanding. So really the purpose of CFIT would be not only to bring together those organisations, but also to really try and tackle and coordinate targeted fintech policies that aim to scale the sector. So we think that they would likely include things like digital ID, SME finance, and then also kind of looking at what the UK's approach could be to open data and such like. So that was a summary of the review. Like I said, I can circulate a link to the report so you can all have a look. But if you have any questions, I'm very happy to take them now as well.
Thank you very much, Ms. Wilson. Thank you for that very brief but a very good overview of the report that City of London has launched. Now we will go to the next part of our program, and that is the panel discussion. I will invite Dr. Mohan Kaul, who is President of IPF, to chair the panel. And there are 4 panelists who Dr. Kaul will take ahead from there and introduce them. So Dr. Kaul, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rohit. Thank you, and welcome everybody. Good morning and good evening or afternoon in India. So we have, as our chair said, we have 4 panelists, and we are going to, well, we had our overview of both the UK and India fintech market and fintech scenario. And we know that UK is the leading fintech country in the globe, and India is full of skills, talent, and innovations. And so today we're going to talk about both innovations in UK as well as India, and opportunities for Indian companies in UK and UK companies in India. So our panel, first one is Susan Chesty. She needs no introduction. She is very well known on FinTech Circle. She's the CEO and a very good friend and a colleague, and leading in FinTech. So I have requested her to sort of, from her own perspective, to look at the FinTech opportunities, and particularly look at the opportunities in UK for Indian companies. Over to you, Susan. We have 5 minutes for each speaker, and if we have time, then we would like to have a panel discussion within ourselves. So, Susan, try to make it in 5 minutes. Thank you.
So, sounds great, Mohan. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for the great presentations beforehand. I really enjoyed them all. My name is Suzanne Chisti. I am the CEO and founder of FinTech Circle. And FinTech Circle, we are Europe's first and only FinTech investor network. We're based in London. And we invest in UK startups, in the best UK early stage startups. And our goal is to find those companies, those CEOs, which have got the best talent, who have got the best ambition, and whom we can back with our 70 investors. So we are 70 angel investors who invest our own money to support companies at seed stage, but also at scale up stage. So we're working across the maturity of fintech companies. And our goal, as Mohan said, is to work very much also with Indian companies. We would love to help Indian companies grow in the UK and help them also scale up either with capital or with our network, our connection. So FinTech Circle has got about 200,000 followers globally. Across all our media channels. So we are distributing news, on FinTech, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. We also publish the best-selling book series. Our publishing house is Wiley, the US publisher. So the first book is called The FinTech Book, which came out 5 years ago and became a global bestseller. It's available now in 107 countries, in 10 languages. So we're trying to spread the word and explain what FinTech is, globally, so that we can really form these global partnerships and let people inspire them, about the future of financial services. And as part of this book series, we focus on FinTech, which was the umbrella term. But then we went into verticals because FinTech, of course, is a global sector, but it consists of lots of subsectors, such as payment technology, that's PayTech. So we wrote a book on the PayTech sector. We wrote one on wealth tech, which is all about asset management, investing, again, a key sector within FinTech. One book on legal tech, about legal technology. We wrote a book on artificial intelligence, which is now relevant across, retail banking, corporate banking, investment banking. Everybody wants to use AI, but it's always easier said than done because it's very easy to say that at the high level. But of course, the devil is in the detail. How do you use AI? For example, for robotic process automation in your back office to save costs. How do you roll it out? How do you transform an existing organization? So all of these things we are covering. And I am also a board member of fintech companies, of a fintech SME lending company, of a UK bank as well. So my goal is to help fintech companies at all stages of the organization. But I would say in terms of what we can see as part of FinTech Circle, because we have got a look into the future, because we see early stage innovators applying to us for funding. So often it's like a crystal ball, seeing early companies before anybody else sees them, because they become famous maybe in 2 years' time, but we get to know them already, when they're still unknown. And what I can see, Mohan, is that, a few years ago, everybody focused on retail banking. It was everything what we are all used to because we are all consumers of retail banking. But what I can see now in the last few years, it's getting more towards more complex solutions. So towards corporate banking, investment banking, capital market solutions. So where really lots of domain expertise is required to make those solutions work. And where we see that the average age, of founders definitely goes up. It's not somebody who is a school dropout, but it's somebody who is a very experienced finance professional, surrounding themselves by top IT teams and tech people who we see now very much coming forward. And the last point I want to make is green finance. Sustainability. That's a key area of focus. We see that of fintech companies who focus on green finance as well. So it's kind of almost merging, sustainability, fintech. So green finance will be a key trend going forward. Also longevity. How can fintech companies help us all live longer and work on this area? So it's very interesting merging themes evolving, I think, which will benefit, all of us and hopefully also our environment.
Thank you, Susan, for that presentation. Fantastic. I'll come back to you later, probably on kind of linking the green finance and fintech, because COP20 later in the year, maybe we need some more collaboration on that. And now let me go to Mahesh Ramachandran, my friend, colleague, and Mahesh has a tremendous experience after having finished London Business School and Sloan's Scholar. At this time, he manages many things, but the main is CIGS. It is a company which is reaching millions of people at grassroots level in India. Mahesh, over to you. If you could kindly keep to 5 minutes, but talking about your experience, but also link on what are the opportunities in India for UK companies. Over to you, Matt.
Thank you, Dr. Kaul. Before I start to talk about Commonwealth Inclusive Growth Services, I would like to thank Shri Rohit Wadhwana, First Secretary, High Commission of India, for the invitation to join the panel discussion. It is indeed my pleasure and privilege to join this eminent panel. Great to join you, Suzanne, the CEO of FinTech Circle, and pleasure to be with you on the panel, Amit, the founder of Fintify, both of who I know well. Nice to make your acquaintance, Ms. Sinha of Invest India. In a virtual conference, I presume the audience could be from across the world. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which part of the world you are listening from. I happen to be the Leadership Council member of FinBlue, the first FinTech Center of Excellence set up by Government of India, hosted in Software Technology Parks of India. Incidentally, we are welcoming FinTech startups from UK, especially to apply for funding and acceleration to come to India. In addition, they are also be having access to the NPCI sandbox. You can actually check out finblue.stpi.in. Coming to Commonwealth Inclusive Growth Services, we are honored to have Dr. Abdul Kalam, the former president of India, launch our company way back in 2009. We launched the first India's tap and pay contactless card that had the indigenous payment system even before RuPay was launched. Today, Commonwealth Inclusive Growth Services, abbreviated as CIGS, operates in more than 30,000 locations across 27 states in India. It transacts more than $1.3 billion worth of financial transaction every year, servicing more than 5 million customers. So what problem do we solve? As you know, India has more than 640,000 villages, but only 35,000 rural bank branches and 40,000 rural ATM exist. The rest of the 550,000 has to be covered through innovative business model. In order to service these millions of unbanked and underbanked customers, organizations like CIGS employs people from villages and make them act like a human ATM. This was championed by the current Union Government of India in 2014 as Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. More than 400 bank accounts have been created since then. The balance that stands in these new bank accounts collectively is around $20 billion. There are around 100,000 such human ATMs who are servicing the customers in the remotest part of India. Today, India has one of the most mature payment systems in the world, thanks to government's policy and innovative organizations like National Payments Corporation of India, which we listen to. Be it Unified Payments Interface, RuPay card, or Aadhaar-enabled payment system, where you need only your fingerprint to make a payment, is unique to India. Every day, millions of transactions and billions of dollars are being transacted from the remoter corners of India. India has skipped the need to go through a point of sale and card system and jumped straight to the mobile payments and biometric-led payments. India's apex financial institution, the Reserve Bank of India, announced setting up of innovation hub to address the chronic challenges to financial inclusion in the country and promote efficient services. The drive is primarily through National Mission for Financial Inclusion, namely Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, and the direct benefit transfers of subsidy. The objective, providing universal banking services to every unbanked household, securing the unsecured, funding the unfunded, and serving the unserved and underserved areas. Having said that, it is not easy to navigate or do business in India without having deep understanding of its culture or associating with someone who have been there, done that. I can today say, after living in UK for more than a decade, when I returned to India, it took me a while to understand the Indian complex business environment. First, I have to unlearn and relearn and operate using frugal innovation. What works in UK in unit economics may not work in India. When the value of transaction itself is less than a pound, we need to know how low can you keep your costs. I could say that we learn to operate at the lowest cost possible and the highest volume of transactions at scale. And of course, India can provide the greatest opportunity for fintech companies. Equally, India gives challenges for those fintechs that can operate in a nice way. So today, CAGS acts as a special purpose acquisition vehicle, SPAC, to invest in innovative fintech companies and help them scale. We are happy to invest in UK fintechs and bring them to India, and invest in India-based fintechs and help them grow internationally with a base in UK. We would be pleased to welcome fintech partners from UK. Get in touch with the organizations. I look forward to actually speaking to you. Thank you, and Jai Hind.
Thank you, Mahesh. Great. Both you and Susan sort of highlighted the investment part of both your organization in terms of looking at startup companies and who are in the fintech and who are looking for markets in the UK or in India. And CIGS would be glad to sort of work with them and invest in them and look at making a successful fintech company in India. And other thing which is very important in India is the low cost you mentioned. So I think given you work in villages and all that, that must be a real challenge, making profit with keeping costs as low as possible. Anyway, we'll come back to some of these. I will now go to Amit. Again, he is the CEO of Fintify, which is an open banking platform. He is, I think, the first one approved by FCA and working in UK. And over to you, Amit, same format, and give your views and how we can work with other companies.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kaul, for the opportunity to speak here, and a very a warm welcome to everyone who's listening in as well. I'm going to give a slightly different perspective about, I'm going to give the founder's perspective about why it is, such a great idea to launch in the UK. But before that, I'll spend some time just giving you a quick introduction about what it is that we do. So we are a UK registered firm. We are licensed by the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK as an AISP, which is an account information service provider. And this is under the Open Banking Directive. Now, the premise of open banking is basically that, is the democratization of financial data, of consent-based financial data, and being able to allow users to share that with other third-party providers for a better user experience. Now, this is a directive that about 4 years ago was pioneered or discussed or consulted first in the EU and in the UK. And then a lot of other jurisdictions, including India under the RBI NBFC account aggregation, have now started implementing different forms of open banking. So what we saw as an opportunity to kind of launch first in the UK, where open banking was at least a couple of years ahead in terms of its implementation timelines, was to mature a product, to launch a product, mature it internationally, and also take it back to India when the market over there had scaled on the back of the AA aggregation directive over there. So as of today, Fintify is a financial data aggregation platform. We work on a cross-border basis. We've got users who are based in the UK, India, in the US and Canada. As of today, we've had users have linked about assets and liabilities of over 80 million pounds on the platform. And we have a large number of diverse financial institutions that have already participated in the open banking environment, who are now part of our ecosystem as well. So I think the part of the journey that we spoke earlier about moving, to the UK and basing a company here, I think there were a couple of reasons, and I look at it like a founder, right? So if you think of India, typically everyone will talk about a total addressable market of around 400 million people who are now ready to take on new financial products and services. But if you actually look at, the serviceable obtainable market, which is the realistic share of the market that users can, or fintech founders can actually target, it is typically around the 60 to 70 million range now. Now, if you look at even within that range, if you look at the 25 to 30 million, people who will actually use financial products on a day-to-day basis, that number is not very different to that you would get here in the UK for the same relevant needs and for the same financial products. Right now, if you think of the diversity and the kind of challenge that you would have to face simply even from a geographical basis, you're talking of a 20 to 30 million audience based over an area the size of Europe back in India. But the same target audience in the UK is based in an area the size of Gujarat, and it's a fairly homogeneous crowd. It's an audience that is very digitally literate. You're also operating in a environment that is very, very robustly regulated by some of the best regulators on the planet, and operating within very advanced digital privacy laws. Now, that's a great environment. I think that's a vibrant environment for anyone to actually come in and launch a product here. I think the other thing that has to be said about the opportunities over here is there's just so much there are so many lovely things that are happening back in India that can be brought back or implemented across over here. So, for example, the kind of unbundling and rebundling of financial services that we've seen lately in India, where, for example, you're seeing like food delivery apps like Swiggy actually offering insurance products, or e-commerce sites actually offering loans. Now, that's the kind of stuff that I think is on the anvil over here in the UK. And I'm a big fan of what Dr. Asbe and MPCI have done back in India in terms of the UPI. I think, in my opinion, it's one of the best payment systems across the globe. Now, if and the UK in a way is kind of following that, in terms of open payments, and also the Aadhaar base, we are now kind of working towards a digital identity basis here in the UK. Now, a lot of these use cases that are actually that Indian startups have perfected in India can be applied here. Obviously, you have to look at the relevance and the market size, but a lot of those are applicable over here. And I would kind of urge, now for the urgency of time, I would kind of urge all fintech founders to definitely look at the UK as a very, very vibrant market to come and set up a place in. As Suzanne mentioned earlier, and Heather did as well, about the opportunity for funding is very, very good over here. The opportunities to move to other boundaries from the UK is very, very real. Right now, those are the few opportunities that I'd see, for fintechs who are already there in India, who would like to move here. Obviously, there's a very, very good support system, whether it's in terms of the tax benefits that you get in terms of SEIs and EIs to local investors, from the R&D tax credits that you get if you're doing an innovative product. The government actually will put money in your bank at the end of the year for having done that product. Right now, that's something that's really good when you're in the initial startup phase. The other thing is, obviously, there are a lot of really, really good corporate bodies, such as the London Partners Group, the Westminster Council, the PICI. I mean, there are lovely institutions who will stand up and who are readily available to help you in your journey to make that transition back over to the UK. Sorry, Dr. Call, if I've overrun my time. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to close on that. If there's anything, I'll take it up in the question.
I'll come back to you. Thank you. On the tax benefits, I think if a UK company like yours is investing in UK, you get the tax benefit. Investor gets the tax benefit. But I believe if a UK company also invests in India, the tax benefits still the investor still gets the tax benefit in UK. I'll come back to you on that. The second thing I wanted to look was this unbundling of products. I know both Mahesh, he's also doing the same thing, and you are doing, and Susan did refer to the number of open payments. And so that is something what both countries can learn from each other. And while, of course, going to the grassroots level people in India is a big challenge, but I believe that's the challenge in UK also. It's not UK. Many people are not still using either mobile apps or e-commerce in that way. But I come back. Akanksha, Amit gave a good challenge, saying that UK is the best place to come for the fintech company, and you got to do the reverse now and say that India is the best place. So giving your platform, Invest India, and you have a startup thing, please take 5 minutes to tell us why should we invest in India as a fintech company?
Thank you so much for the introduction, Dr. Kaul. This is quite a challenge that Mr. Amit has given me, but I hope to do justice to it. So good day, everyone. I'm an investment specialist at Invest India. Startup India is an initiative under Invest India, and I'm the sector lead for fintech under that. So to begin with, let me take a moment to introduce Startup India. So it is a flagship initiative of the central government of India, and simply put, our mandate is to do anything and everything under the sun to support startups in India. So we do so through simplification of regulatory processes and handholding startups through those regulatory processes. We liaise with relevant authorities to provide funding support and other incentives to startups. And lastly, the third pillar that we work on is forming meaningful partnerships with key ecosystem stakeholders such as industry and academia. So that being said, it is also important to note that the parent organization for Startup India is Invest India, which is the National Investment Promotion Agency of India. And its primary role is obviously to facilitate investment, including FDI, and promote ease of doing business in India. But within Invest India, it has a dedicated BFSI team, which leads fintech-related end-to-end facilitation support for foreign entities, looking at establishing a presence in India. So under this whole umbrella initiative, support to foreign fintech companies is two-pronged in nature. The first, in terms of knowledge support and handholding, that goes into setting up a new business in India, along with leveraging the extensive network of government and private sector stakeholders in both Startup India and Invest India's ambit to provide on-ground support to foreign companies. Additionally, Startup India has international bridges with 11 countries. The one with UK is called the UK India Startup Launchpad, and it is an initiative to foster deeper collaboration with these two leading startup ecosystems. Of course, it's essentially speaking, it's a soft landing platform for UK startups in India and for Indian startups in the UK. So the role of this launchpad is to bring together resources, connect participants, encourage startups in both the countries to innovate and find solutions to some of the most pressing development challenges, also explore expansion opportunities within each other's countries. So thus we have like work to create an ecosystem, to create a support system for startups, especially fintech startups, which are very up and coming right now, which in turn turn out to be like a global force for good, and we are able to drive mutual growth and prosperity with our collaboration with UK startups from the UK and startups from other countries as well. So that was what we do in a nutshell.
Thank you, Kansha. Yeah, and I know we have a lot of material on what you do and the startups, and we'll probably circulate to people who are attending here. And please, if you need further information, please get in touch with us, the organizers, and we'll send you that material. So we still have some 4 or 5 minutes. I might come back. I was going to sort of ask every panelist to say again, touch upon particularly Susan, Mahesh, and Amit on this idea of open banking, unbundling, open payments, and green finance. You don't have to talk about all of them, but just refer to, because these are some things which is what both in India and in UK, we will sort of follow it up. 1 minute each, that is the time I have before I will be asked to shut up. So over to you, Suzanne. I'll come back to others after that. Okay, Suzanne, go ahead.
So I will just focus in on green finance. You know, I would love all topics, but because of 1 minute, I would say, you know, one company which we saw, which applied to our FinTech Circle Investor Network, for example, is focused on implementing green finance sustainability solutions for customers, you know, so that when you invest, when you pay something, when you make a payment, you can get a kind of almost bonus points in your sustainability scorecard. So I think that's something really interesting, you know, to link consumer behavior and to make consumers aware that we can vote with our feet. You know, we can vote depending what we buy. We have got lots of power actually as consumers, and that's to get this mindset shifted. You know, that we as consumers make very important decision how we can protect our environment for ourselves, for our children, and how can a financial fintech company help us focus on this correct and the right behavior. So that's some you know, great innovations I can see in the green finance space. And so I think it's a really a huge growth area, and I'm very keen to talk more on that. You know, when
we will have to organize something, and
yes.
When we probably by May, June, we should be organizing events live. So we'll come back to you, particularly on this consumer behavior and or COP20 and all that. Thank you very much. I come to, I'll thank you all later, but Mahesh, I mean, this whole question of unbundling and open payments, could you, 1 minute, take on that?
Thank you, Dr. Kaul. So I think the open banking paradigm has been in existence, and it has actually matured in UK much earlier than in India. As Amit was mentioning, it is actually the FCA which actually provides that. In India, the open banking is now possible, and the license is called the NBFC account aggregator, which FinTech applies to the Reserve Bank of India to get this. The greatest advantage is there is a decoupling of services like a banking service versus an insurance services versus a mutual fund. The customer now have a choice of choosing what to take from who. Let's say there is a bank A and bank B, and one wants to know the holistic amount that is actually in deposit as well as the assets and liabilities. It is possible to do so. It also eliminates the existing process of physical document submission, which is time consuming. I think the open banking paradigm is the future. India has actually started to embrace that. It is not made mandatory, but I think over a period of time, RBI is actually seeing the feedback, but there are quite a few people who are making good progress there. I believe that the open banking will push the unbundling of products, which I think is good for the consumer.
Thank you. Thank you. Come, Amit, your question, I wanted to see that, do you play a role in terms of getting other companies, investors or incubator kind of thing for the new companies that who come to the market here?
Sorry, so could you repeat that again, Dr. Kaul?
I mean, do you try to become a, you know, kind of an incubator for new companies that would come, particularly in the areas that you are, but may not be directly, but are the you know, products which like open payments, or you're saying unbundling? Are you looking at working with other companies actively on that? Just 1 minute.
I mean, I would be assuming too much importance to say that I could incubate them. But I mean, definitely, I mean, we are looking out at partnerships, because the whole concept of open banking is to be able to work in collaboration with other providers, right? With other providers, to be able to offer a more vibrant experience for the end users, and more importantly, a more hyper-personalized experience for the end consumer. And that, I think, has no boundaries, right? And that's the beauty of open banking. No matter which jurisdiction it gets implemented in, it's going to make, you know, it's one big leap towards a borderless banking experience, the one that we started out wanting towards. And yes, absolutely. I mean, if there are Indian startups who want to set up here or want to talk about how the open banking is, and we operate in both jurisdictions. So we're also getting a license in from the RBI in India to be able to set up a similar service, you know, or what we offer, or take that offering out to India wholesale. So that's, you know, we'd be more than happy to talk to people who are interested in the topic.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Akanksha, last to you. Does the startup, you know, India that you launched, does it provide an active interface with the investors, investing company or banking facilities? So when companies go there, do you actively help them to get investment, or that is on their own?
Thank you so much, Dr. Kaul, for the question. Actually, it's a very relevant question. That's the first thing that companies ask us when they get here. So Startup India provides, we see ourselves as facilitators into the ecosystem. So whenever we are approached by startups to provide investment opportunities, we conduct open events such as investor pitching sessions or demo days for startups with a large number of stakeholders, be it government or private sector stakeholders. And in some cases, we also provide direct handholding support in terms of connection with investors. So our idea is to holistically support startups in every way possible, not just funding, but mentorship, but also procurement related services. So we are advocates for startups within the government of India, working for the government of India, if I may say so. So that's what we do in a nutshell.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Akanksha. Thank you, Amit. Thank you, Mahesh. And thank you, Susan, for all your intervention. And have a good day or evening. Thank you. Over to Rohit.
Thank you, Dr. Kaul. Very, very informative discussion, but not good day yet. I have some questions for them, which we will take up after the case study and special mentions. So, we have already heard from Mahesh Ramachandran, who is MD and CEO from CIGS, and Amit Gaikwad, CEO and co-founder of Finity, two companies, and then two platforms like FinTech Circle and Startup India. So now we have taken two case studies specifically for maybe inspirational, maybe learning lessons for all the other companies. So may I first invite Varun Sahni, CEO and co-founder of Credit Enable, please.
Hi, Rohit.
Hi. Varun, I have the first question for you is, let's start with your introduction. Introduce yourself and your company for the benefit of our participants quickly.
Great. So firstly, thanks so much for the opportunity and the time. So my name's Varun Sahni. I've been an investor and an entrepreneur for about 20 years or so. And my interests have really been in building businesses that use innovation for mass markets. So I spent a lot of time in the 90s actually working in villages across India with artisans and farmers, looking at business model innovation over there. 2000 to 2010, spent time building businesses in more traditional sectors like healthcare, building maternity hospitals, ambulance service companies. Again, looking at low cost, affordable, high quality services to mass markets. And for the past 10 years or so, have been building companies using technology for mass markets. The last one we built was using virtual reality for rehab. And over the last 3 years, we've been building Credit Enable, which is a SME platform for looking at providing loans to SMEs completely digitized.
Thank you, Varun. So now we will take on from there. Tell us more, about your journey specifically on Credit Enable and how you establish, what are the areas where you are working in India and UK, and what was the journey like? Any hurdles, any specific learning lessons?
Sure. So through the years, as we've been both investors and operating and building businesses, what was very clear to us is that one of the biggest challenges was really around access to working capital. That's affordable access to working capital, right? And we've seen this again and again in our own businesses. And so we decided to actually look at that problem in a lot of detail and spoke to probably 200 lenders worldwide, understood really what the challenges from a workflow perspective was. It became quite clear to us that there wasn't really a customer experience or a customer journey for SMEs. And this was a problem not only in India and the UK, but it's a global problem, and it's a trillion-dollar market opportunity, which the likes of Amazon, etc., are looking at as well. So we decided to digitize that whole customer journey and to be able to allow borrowers to get bespoke loans made to them so they don't have to apply to multiple lenders and get their credit rating impacted, etc. So over the past 3 years, we built a platform that is completely digitally enabled for both borrowers, as well as all the credit underwriting we do, as well as all the algorithms we built for lender matching. And the technology we built actually works in about 70 countries. So from our perspective, we set up our holding company in the UK, which was FCA regulated about 12 years ago. And the UK was a phenomenal place, and it continues to be a phenomenal place to actually build this business out. And particularly as I think it's a really strong global hub. And so not only the India-UK corridor, right? So we've got tech in UK, we've got tech in Eastern Europe. We're looking at markets like India, Indonesia, etc. So it's really from a regulatory access to capital perspective as well is a very strong location to be in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I have to ask you, just in 30 seconds, spontaneously, what comes in your mouth as the words of wisdom for newcomers?
Okay, I don't know if there are any words of wisdom, but I mean, I think there are a couple of things that we try to live by. One is surround yourself with people who are way more smarter than you. And so, we've tried to do that with investors. We recently finished a round with Venture Catalyst and JPI and Nayan Gala and Gaurav Singh. And we found that getting investors who actually understand India-UK is critically important if you're trying to build in that corridor. So firstly, try to get, surround yourself with people who are much more smarter than you. Secondly, we focus a lot of our time on culture, right? And just especially, last year, for example, we hired 50 people virtually, having never met them. So culture from a perspective of transparency and honesty are extremely important, right? Especially being a data business. Never be afraid of numbers. And I'd say the third thing that we've tried to live by is always evolve as a business, right? I mean, the first couple of years are going to be extremely difficult. So that continuous agile evolution in your business, listening to competition, listening to the market, listening to your customers, something that was really important to us. So that's
Thank you. That is really important, and others would of course agree with that. Second case study I would like to take today is about MoneyHawk. I would like to invite Mayank Goyal, founder and CEO of MoneyHawk. Mayank.
Hi, Rohit. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Mayank. First question, I'll go with the same pattern. Please introduce yourself and your company so that context.
Sure. So I'm Mayank, founder of MoneyHawk, and at Hawk we're building India's first cross-border neo-banking platform, which enables Indians to send and spend conveniently, economically across the globe. We started on this journey in around July, August 2019. And prior to that, I spent close to a decade living in London. I had traveled there to do my master's in financial engineering from Imperial College London, did my CFA after that, and I've worked in the city in the financial services for Merrill Lynch and Jefferies in various capacities, such as derivative trading, quantitative portfolio management, and low latency, high frequency electronic trading with Jefferies. So yeah, that's my quick background for you, Rohit.
Well, so Mayank, how would you describe us? I mean, how would you introduce us to your journey or towards this success? How did you build up your company? Maybe what was the motivation and some learning lessons?
Sure, absolutely. So, things were kind of going well, right? It was an aspiration for me when I was younger to kind of travel to London and work in a banking job. So no complaints there, but I was always very fascinated by the whole fintech ecosystem and with an India focus, right? So fintech, technology was natural to me because I was an engineer by studies, and finance is something I dabbled with for close to a decade. But particularly India focus was important for me because I truly believe that financial services in India is going to make it an Indian decade. Right, so I was constantly look out for opportunities to see what was a personal pain point for me, and also came with a larger opportunity. So I kind of figured out that every time my parents who traveled from, they live in a small town up north in India called Dehradun, And every time they came to London, they came with a bunch of 50-pound notes, right? So I would ask them as to how have they procured it and what is the interchange they've ended up paying. And invariably, they would have paid 6-7% above the markup. And this became a constant phenomena every time I had my friends and family visit me from India. And finally, in the summer of 2019, I was visiting my hometown and I wanted to remit some money from India to my UK account. So I visited my local branch, somebody I'd been banking for the last 10, 15 years. They had me come in for 5 days in a row. They asked me for all sorts of paperwork. But at the end of that, neither did my money get remitted. And I was rather left disgruntled with a terrible user experience. And I'm like, I was intrigued, right? I wanted to know whether this was a one-off experience or there was a systemic problem with the cross-border banking. So to that end, I spoke to about 100 people of various demographics and socioeconomic background, and very quickly understood that the cross-border banking hadn't really kept up in India, right? As Dilip Baspe kind of alluded to, UPI had tremendously done wonderfully in the domestic market when it comes to payment, and crossed several $100 billions in transaction every year in a seamless manner. But the cross-border was still kind of archaic, and it was stuck in the rut, right? We figured out that technology has actually enabled Indians to try new things, right? They want to Swiggy it and Uber it, and they want to be global citizens and then travel the world and don't necessarily want to buy a house or mortgage. And they value instant gratification, convenience, and transparency over everything else, right? But when it came to cross-border, right, when the person traveled from Delhi to Mumbai, he didn't have to think about what application or what card to use to make a payment. But when he traveled from Bombay, to London, why should it be any different, right? So we thought to ourselves, how do we provide a, technologically advanced and a user-centric cross-border banking solution to Indians, and Hop was really kind of born out of that.
Excellent. I'm sure, this is going to be saving me also a lot of money when I transfer my salary from UK to India back home. But thank you. But the point is, now during your journey, what would be your 30-second quick words of wisdom for all other aspirants?
Sure. So when we were kind of building out the solution, we kind of figured out that we wanted to be UK headquartered, because obviously we want to build a global company, and UK happens to be the fintech capital of the world. But we wanted to capture the Indian market, right? So we had kind of a structure where we had an Indian subsidiary in the UK headquartered, and we fully leveraged the UK-India corridor, right? I mean, we worked with the Department of International Trade through the Global Entrepreneurship Program, the UK High Commission in India, the Indian High Commission in UK, UK-India Tech Hubs. All of these bodies we fully leveraged to explore their network and use their contacts to kind of get through this initial phase. And it's difficult, right? I mean, with all due respect, I think there's a lot of glamour that is associated with startups, but it's hard work, right? And you need the right infrastructure and the right support around you to be able to kind of enable that. And I feel that having the right support gave us that perseverance and grit, because ours was a cross-border market, and as you can see, the last year there's almost no cross-border movement whatsoever, right? So we were deeply impacted by that. But we feel that if there is long-termism in the business and there's value creation for the end consumer, things will pick up, and you will get the right recognition in terms of customer acceptance and capital and so on and so forth. You just have to kind of believe in what one is building and stay the course. And which is what we did, right? So now we have like a mobile application, which is kind of a entirely digital mobile application where you're digitally onboarded and you get a one global card, one global account, an application where you get multi-currency bank account and a 0% markup currency exchange on demand, right? In the palm of your hand, now you can remit money from India outbound for any of these LRS transactions by click of a few buttons, right? We managed to do that only because, as I think Warren also alluded to, surrounded by the right people and taking help from the right organizations to be able to deliver these products.
No, certainly, I agree with that, and thank you very much for joining. Stay there; we might have some questions for you. So now, I am tempted to describe the situation in a slightly different way. Our panel discussion felt like we had a very good comprehensive overview, felt like test match. Then we had a quick round of case studies, like one days, but now we are going for 2020. And for this 2020, we have 4 companies. We have brought them in special mention category. So all of you, please on your mic and video, I'll invite you one after another. First, I am inviting Lavanya Raja from Rudra Technologies. Lavanya.
Yes, thank you. Greetings all. I'm humbled and honored to be here. And special thanks to Mr. Rohit Vadwana and Ms. Lakshmi Kaul for this insightful session. And I'm delighted to be in this session with alumni from University of London, both LBS and LSE, in a small world.
Lavanya, I would like to come quickly to you about, please tell us about your company, right? It's 2020, hit as many sixes as you can in 1 minute, maybe.
Sure. So yeah, let me go on the full throttle that you're giving me on. Okay. So me, Lavanya, engineer by education, 3 times founder and fintech entrepreneur and investor by choice. I've executed business consolidations, product spin-offs and mergers in the past. And our product spectrum ranges from cybersecurity, prediction analytics to robotic process automation. Overall, digital disruptions and transformations lead our product models. And recently, with all the conversations that happened around open banking, I'm happy to say that we recently developed a B2B FinTech product with robust security framework to make open banking adapters go to market at 5 times faster rate. And Masters in Finance at London Business School has helped me discover gaps in the finance domain that technology could bridge and catalyze this convergence. And at the moment, I'm also indulging in more research on regulatory technology, clean technology, and crypto assets. I take away great learnings from the School of Thoughts.
Thank you very much. So quick and very nice. Now, next, Jai Ranjit Bhatt, CEO of EdBank. Would you like to come with the same pitch, please?
Yeah, sure. I'm not able to switch on my video.
We can see your handsome photograph. Come on.
Okay, that's great. All right. Thank you so much for inviting me here, Rohit. Just to give you a brief introduction about my company. We are EdBank. It's a cloud-based hyper-personalization banking platform that delivers AI-driven smart customer experiences to retail banking customers based on the live events in real time. So the problem that we're trying to address and solve for the banks is that the banks are losing out direct connection to interact with these customers who increasingly want fully personalized financial offerings tailored to their needs. So the banks, what need to do is that how we help banks is that basically we help banks to understand their customer life events, their personal circumstances, and through AI, we engage with them in the form of a personalized, relevant, and smart contextual experiences. So the agenda is that the motive behind this is that it helps the banks to know the customers really well as to what are they going in the real world in their life event. And then once we've identified that life event, whether you're running out of cash, unable to make payments, you're looking to buy a house, you're looking to buy a car, traveling abroad, your propensity buying, etc., and even how you eat food, whether you're a gig economy worker, etc. So we are like having this 45 plus life events that it's like pre-packaged, pre-built use cases the bank can go and activate and then engage with the customers exactly at the time of need in the form of an advisory or in the form of a financial or product offering. It's like the way you spend your money defines a lot more about you. So that's what we are catering to. Today, the banks is not walking up to you and saying, hey, the way you're spending your money, you're likely to run out of cash in the next 7-8 days. So here's a credit card for you. So that's what we are offering in our side. Yeah. And just the last snippet, we are looking forward to having early adopters in the UK market because that's our biggest market. And we're looking also to raise funding. So we are open to discussions in that spectrum.
I'm sure your call is being heard. So next, I'll go to Ankit Prasad, who is founder and CEO of Bobble AI. Ankit?
Hey, hi, Rohit. Thank you so much for this great opportunity. A warm namaste to everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce you to Bobble AI, the conversation media platform, making your and mine smartphone conversation much more intelligent and personalized. We have extended our keyboard technology to banks and financial services, contributing to their digital transformation journey. I mean, today, when millennials and Gen Zs are spending most of their time on smartphone conversations, it becomes crucial for financial service providers to have their presence and make their services accessible within the flow of conversation. This is where keyboard comes handy, literally. We are positioning the partner bank as the bank of choice. We are making banking a joyful experience and helping our partners take data-driven decisions. I'm just dropping in a link for people who are interested to go through our product demonstrations and connect me offline or over LinkedIn, howsoever you like. I'm happy to connect. Thank you so much, Rohit.
Sure, Ankit. I would rather like to announce here, I was discussing with one of our organizing partners that we will send a report, maybe 2-3 pager, where we will send the brief introduction and links of the companies so that those participants who are attending the event, they can connect to you if they are interested later on. Next, Swastik Nigam, who is founder and CEO of Winvesta. Swastik, are you here? Is Swastik here?
Hi, Mr. Vadvanath. This is Sudarshan Tirumala. Swastik is unable to be here today.
Yeah, please.
I am representing Winvesta today. I am the head of operations of Winvesta globally, and I just want to take a quick minute to introduce Winvesta to everyone. Good morning to everyone in the UK, and good evening to everyone in India. The premise for Winvesta is very simple. Right, India is one of the pristine growth markets for many of the world's largest companies, whether you want to call it Google, Amazon, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple. Even our homegrown Flipkart is owned by Walmart, right? And so even as we are helping companies grow by consuming their products and services, there isn't an easy way for Indians to participate in that growth by investing in these companies, since they're all listed in the US. Winvesta is on a mission to democratize the access to overseas investment opportunities for Indians, beginning with the US stock market. We are headquartered in the UK, regulated by the FCA, and we are multinational by birth, with our team spread across 4 countries. At a time when awareness among Indians is rather low on the topic of overseas investments, we've in fact been asked in our webinars whether investing overseas from India is even legal, right? So we are working from the ground up, building awareness, building trust with clients at a grassroots level, building a comprehensive platform that is as easy to use as it is effective in terms of the protections it offers our clients, whether through the SIPC protections in the US or through the access to UK financial ombudsman in UK. We are structured to give the most trusted offering for Indian investors. So we hope to have conversations with each of the attendees who have tuned in today, and work with you and your organizations to enable Indians to build a truly global and diversified portfolio that meets their aspirations. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. So now, after these special mentions of 4 companies, we have a video prepared by Startup India. Then this video includes the National Startup Awards 2020 winners and finalists. So there are 12 startups. These are the companies to watch. Everyone must keep an eye on these companies. So can we play the video for everyone's benefit, please? Thank you. Thank you very much. So now we are moving towards the last leg of our today's event. And now we have few minutes open for question and answer. We are certainly slightly delayed in our schedule, but the questions that I am receiving here, most of them I feel are already answered. Please, everyone, every partner may switch on their video and mic. So whoever would like to come back, but let's keep the answers very quick, very quick. First question was from Philip DeCosta. How does green finance work? Any example?
Susan.
Yes, yeah. I'm muting myself. So green finance is a very new sector. And what the way we define it, it's basically how financial services can either invest in environmental, social governance issues, so the whole ESG agenda. You know, your ESG is a big topic nowadays. And so when you are an investor, for example, and you want to invest in areas which are ESG friendly, supporting the environment, it's often very hard because often it's a gray zone. You know, you've got a company who is doing good things, but they're also supporting maybe not so good things. So are they considered ESG or not? Do you know? And so there are companies such as Moody's out there, for example, who try to provide data points to help investors make those investment decisions, because you have to, if it's a gray zone, you can't invest. You need to know black or white, you know, can it be included in your portfolio or not? So green finance is all about defining what green actually means. You know, what does good look like, and how can you use data points to support investing in ESG topics, in ESG supporting companies who are focused on this area, and also how we can empower consumers who want to do the right thing for the environment to support them in doing that as well.
Thank you. Rohit, can I add one more point? There are about $30 billion available for investing in ESG companies. The problem in India is not able to attract a lot of funding for ESG, for green financing. The reason is that there is a reporting system from this. You have to prepare certain reports that there is a governance, good governance report. There is a good environment, as Susan has said. So there are procedures to be followed before an investor actually considers to invest. So you might be a very good company, there might be a very good company doing that, unless they you know, in India, there are a lot of profitable companies and they feel they should get investment without any filling up the forms or these. That is our problem. So we are saying, please look at these. There is a certain procedure that these investors have to follow on the governance procedure, on environment procedure, and therefore there is a procedure. So that is where the bottleneck is. Maybe we can talk about it later. How do we get capacity building for these kind of procedures so that the investors invest? But money is available in this area.
I agree, Dr. Cole. We may also refer to the events that we had done together on sustainable financing, and the outcome was really good. We are looking forward to do this year as well. And hopefully by that time, the situation will normalize and we will have a physical or maybe hybrid event. But I will come to the next question. Srujan Mitta has asked, what are the skill sets required to propel fintech? I think it's slightly longer in terms. So I'll also move to other questions, and some parts are already answered by our case studies and other companies. They have given very good examples how they have moved ahead. I'll also move to another. Milap Singh Jadeja has asked for 3 questions. He is saying that if AIF category 1 is being set up in India, how can fintech circle add value? Susan, your talk was really helpful, and I think he has got some of the answers from there. Then does Startup India get associated with such funds to generate the right leads, and how? I am surprised, Akanksha, you answered that perfectly in your in your first remarks as well. But then third point he is making is, how does setting up a holding company work in UK in terms of capital gain taxes and fetch support from this platform? I am putting open all these questions for any of our panelists or any other expert would like to make some comment on that.
Maybe what I could add is, the way FinTech Circle can support FinTech companies globally would be using our global network, our global community of 200,000 people who are interested in FinTech, who are interested either in consuming FinTech products, they're interested in investing in FinTech companies, or they're buyers, from banks, from insurance companies who want to work with FinTech companies, and they look for what are the best ones out there. So the way we can support a FinTech company in India would be, if they want to be globally known, get global reach, we can make them famous, on our global scale, using our webinars, our conferences, give them this global publicity. So that's the way I would say the FinTech Circle can help enormously, with this global awareness, brand building, branding, marketing, to reach out to your global audience using our FinTech Circle platform.
Thank you. Maybe Akanksha should also add something on this.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Mr. Wadhwana. So as I said, everything that I said earlier in terms of providing startups with support to with direct FaceTime with a group of investors through investor pitching sessions, demo days, etc. But apart from that, the government of India also has a scheme for startups, which is called the Fund of Fund scheme for startup, which is disbursed. It's a 10,000 crore rupee corpus fund, which is disbursed by a SIDBI, which is the Small Industries Development Bank of India. And how SIDBI disburses this fund to startups is through AIFs. So AIFs can come into the picture over there, make use of the fund that is available by the government, and pitch in some amount from their end as well to disburse it to DPIIT recognized startups in India. So that is one way AIFs can also get involved.
Dr. Cole, would you like to say something on this?
What specifically on?
No, I mean, general, when the question of myth was on what skill sets are required. I mean, you have been interacting with many startups. You are kind of have played the role of mentor as well. So in your opinion, I mean, what would you suggest? I'm not going to particular company because we have heard their learning lessons, but then you have seen them from a certain distance as well as proximity.
I mean, the main thing is that one has to definitely have a good concept, and the concept is basically, and you got to have the patience to follow that concept up to the end, even if they are failures. So the concept is very important in your mind. Second is the skill set that you get. I mean, the skill set. I mean, you have a lot of entrepreneurs here, Mahesh and all. So skills, concept, vision, and skill set. Once you have this, the money will follow. In the sense, the entrepreneur wants to be, or investor in a startup wants to be sure that there is a skill set, there is a confidence in the person, because he or she has a drive and a passions for that, and has a vision, direct vision. So therefore, I mean, Mahesh might say that CIGS, that it is exactly that particular area that they went. And so therefore, if the other thing I want to say, that there's a lot of people, a lot of money chasing this project. Sometimes we end up bad projects. Sometimes we don't. Good projects do not get the. That is where we have a problem. We have to create this kind of events in a way of building, like a network of networks. Like you have Susan, you have Mahesh, you have Amit, you have Akanksha, you have other. So if this network sort of improves, they can share information on the investors. Basically, investor is looking. So, for example, I met, without naming, some investors came from India and they invested here, and they they lost the money, in the sense they had not made the correct decision, and it was very difficult to go at the end. So therefore, please be careful. There are a lot of people who have good ideas, and you have heard of them. There are a lot of people who have the passion, who have the skills. So and money is safe if you are making the right decision. So that is where we need to create this kind of platform with a group of people who have made it and can help others to make it.
No, I certainly agree. I think you have summed up it very well. I would rather say in a blogger's language, I do write so CSD. That's what Dr. Cole has given as the mantras for success. That is concept, skill set, and drive. Or you can also say CSV or vision. In place of drive, you can say vision. So this CSV or CSD are the skill sets required for success, and other things will follow, including money, investors, and other customers maybe also. So good. Thank you very much. We had got a few extra minutes and we have utilized them very well. Now I would like to thank all the organizing and supporting partners. Thank you, Yasmin, City of London, for helping us in organizing this event. Ficky, Dr. Shah, thank you very much for all the efforts that you have put behind this event. BDO, we have Zinnat here, we had Mr. Hopkins and Arbinder. They have helped us very well. Dr. Cole from IPF, you have chaired the panel and given us kind of very good discussion, and finally CSD for us to take home. And then CII, Lakshmi, thank you very much for arranging speakers and companies and supporting in every way. We were also supported by Invest India and Startup India. Thank you, Akanksha. And thank you, JPIN, Nayan and Gaurav. We are thankful to you both also for introducing some wonderful companies and bringing them on the platform. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Mayank, and everyone. I have been benefited from your presence here today in this event, and I look forward to have more interaction for the in this sector, where we can give good outcome to our aspiring startups and entrepreneurs. Thank you very much. Good day.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Exactly 1 year back.